Lord, that sounds epic. Well, just to set expectations, you're probably not going to be hearing anything that exciting the rest of the time. Welcome to the Golden Squad podcast. I'm your host and GM, Luke. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know a little bit about what you can expect and a little bit about the world that my players are living in. First off, this game uses the base rule set for Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition, with a few minor homebrew tweaks I built myself. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to the Vanguard podcast for keeping me entertained while I was learning the ropes on how to play this game. You should definitely check out their podcast as well. They are currently going by the Lazy Sloths RPG podcast. In my game, I have 4 players. Each of them built a character and a backstory. However, I developed their powers for them based on an outline that they gave me, so they don't exactly know what they're going to get before we get started. In the first arc, I'm exploring the development of their powers and their backstories. Although I have edited each of these stories to be somewhat overlapped, each of them took place entirely one-on-one. You may notice some of the overlap between each of the players' stories, but none of the players had any idea what the other players were doing. Some of the recordings were not perfect, as this was our first try doing this, but I'll fill in any of the gaps technical difficulties left us with. The solo arc may feel a little bit rushed as well. That's just until we can catch up to the group sessions. On to world building. Until 1975, you can think of the world I built just like our world. In 1975, our worlds began to split apart due to the introduction of superpowered individuals. It all started in New York City during a building fire. A young woman named Danielle rushed into the building to help get people out, and a burning pillar fell on her. It was at that moment that she realized that there was something special about her. She was not only resistant to damage, she was incredibly strong and could fly. Not long after she was revealed to the world, a few other prominent powered individuals appeared in New York City. Most notably, the youngest known person to get powers at just 11 years old, Andrea. She discovered that she had the ability to control nature and had an intricate relationship with plants, and later went on to become a researcher. Danielle founded what started out as a support group for people who discovered that they had powers and how best to live with them. Eventually, as people started to call on that group for help, it evolved into a company. They named themselves Powered for Humanity's Improvement, or PHI. For a few months after the New York awakening, it seemed like the small handful of people in New York were the only people that were going to get powers. A few more in the surrounded area started to trickle in. Within a few years, most of the United States' major cities had at least some superpowered individuals. Powers were fairly rare in the early days. About 1 in a million people developed them. Our first player is one of the first few to awaken, just after Danielle's powers were introduced to the world. She is also much older than the other characters, so we're going to do her arc in entirety before we start with the other 3. So let's get started. Hope you enjoy.
Alright, paint me a story, DM.
Why don't you give me an introduction about the character that you've made?
I am playing a woman named Theodosia Cornelii. She was born in December of 1963 in Salem, Massachusetts. She has a strong source of justice since she grew up during the Civil Rights Movement, but she is a very gossipy as well. So think of her as a very nosy Nancy Drew, where she wants to always right wrongs, but to the point where maybe she gets a little too into hoarding information.
Is there any problems at school? Do you have any bullies or...
I would say yes. So there is Julian. He is an aggressor. He's also in my grade.
Julian the bully. He was not a nice guy today. You're like planning on how to get back at him because he did flip skirt to one of your friends. You're talking to one of your friends and you find out that someone came up to him, one of his other classmates that you didn't really know very well. Some guy named Jason or something. He came up to him and he started to talk to him, and then Julian, who's at his locker, and he turned around and closed his locker really quick. And your friend noticed this, and he was like trying to hide something in his locker. Your friend tells you, like, I think he has something in his locker that he doesn't want people to see. It's something embarrassing. If we want to get back at him, we can try to like sneak in and open his locker, try to pick his lock or something. And then I think we can like really get back at him. Maybe get him in trouble. Maybe he can get like suspended or detention or something. We can get back at him for like all this like horseplay that's going on.
Okay.
What do you think?
I ponder if I should actually go and instead like report it to the adults, like as the authority figures. But I realize like I don't have any evidence to support that are worthy of a locker check. Only suspicion. But like I don't have the skills necessary to break a lock. So I feel more cautious. So I basically asked, like, I guess this guy's Jason.
Jason is the guy who walked up and talked to Julian. Your friend noticed this conversation.
Ah, okay. So let's see, my friend's name is Alex.
Alex, okay. You don't really know Jason at all. Jason was just some classmate, maybe a friend of Julian that walked up to talk to him, and Julian's reaction implied that there is something in his locker that he doesn't want people to see.
I think to approach this, we can't break into his locker by force.
Was his name Alex? Alex says, like, should we try to get back at him for all this, like, horseplay he's doing with us?
It's a good thought, but let's not be too impulsive. We need to plan this out. If it is something nefarious, then we need to be careful and cautious with this. And so I think we should first stake out the locker to see maybe if whatever is inside there, will he pull it out at any given time. So instead of us even trying to break the lock or to guess what the combination is, we could just try to go and catch him taking it out in the act.
Okay. So the next day at school, Alex comes up to you and it's like, okay, how do we plan this? Like he typically comes out after first class. He comes out and he usually goes to his locker. Should we just like stand across the hall and watch him, see if we can see?
Yes, we have to go and take turns doing this because sometimes our classes don't overlap. So we can doing shifts, and we need to go and enlist all the other girls too.
Oh, Alex is a girl. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I should have asked. Yeah. Okay. So
Alex is non-binary.
That's a bit early for that. I mean, yeah. The bell rings after first period. He comes out. He walks over to his locker. He rolls in his combination. I don't know. Twists in his combination. He opens the lock. He opens the locker, but before he opens it, he looks around and he sees you. Are you there?
Yes. I try to play it cool where I'm like leaning against the locker and then maybe just like looking at staring at, like trying to pretend I'm studying, but like trying to stealthily observe him. So I don't know if it's something I roll like a stealth check for.
Yeah, let's roll. It's time to roll. So you're not trying to hide. You're trying to make it look like you're not.
I'm trying to play cool.
Observe. So I'm gonna say deception.
All right. So I rolled a 14. So that's a 19 total.
Okay. He looks at you for a second, and he squints his eyes a little bit, and he opens his locker the rest of the way, pulls out a box, puts it into his backpack, closes his locker very quickly, and closes his backpack, like zips it up, and he walks immediately for the door.
Okay. I not even telling any of my friends, I try to very stealthily follow him, like just casually close my book and then just like walk while like, basically as though like, oh, I need to go to my appointment, so I'm leaving too.
So give me a stealth check then.
Oof. Okay, so that's 11, so 13 total.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, he totally sees you coming after him, and he turns around and walks right towards you.
I try to carry on the act as though like I don't notice, like, it's like I'm walking towards the door. Why do you turn it back?
He walks right up to you and says, "Are you following me?"
Why do you think that? What are you trying to? I thought you were leaving. I'm leaving too. What's going on?
Let's do deception one more time.
Oh, I rolled a 3.
He
so
says,
that's an 8.
He says, "I saw you earlier and you leave right when I leave? I don't think so. I know better than that. Leave me alone or something bad's gonna happen."
Something's bad gonna happen. Julian, what is so suspicious? What's going on? What is in that box?
He pushes you.
I stand my ground and I ask again, what's in that box?
He turns around and starts walking towards the door without saying anything.
I follow him.
As soon as he gets outside, he starts running. Are you still gonna follow?
No, but I yell, "You can't hide the truth forever, Julian!"
Theo ends up going back in and checking Julian's locker. She doesn't find anything that incriminating, but the locker smells a little bit like weed, and she does find a pocket knife, but decides not to say anything since that's pretty common in the 70s anyway. Theo then finds through investigation that Julian might be located at a skate park nearby. Then she tells her friend Alex about it.
Well, okay. So the scoop is that he goes to a skate park with a bunch of high school boys. What would be a stealth way for us to get there without causing attention? Do you skateboard? I don't skateboard.
No, my mom won't let me.
Do we know anyone who has, like, rollerblades or skates? Maybe we can try to blend in.
Oh, I mean, I have skates. I can skate. I have roller skates.
Oh, we have to look cool. We can't look like we're just having, like, Barbie doll shit on our ankles.
We have to look cool.
We're talking about 12-year-old kids going to a
yeah.
skate park, and this is the 70s.
That's great. That's my favorite response yet. Okay, continue.
All right, how about this? We walk together and we just do a drive-by, kind of almost like we're observers, we're like interested, we're spectators of skateboarding, and if it gets too dangerous, we'll run. But let's do this.
Not long after you leave school, you're walking down the sidewalk. You hear a commotion behind you, and you turn around, and Julian is running right at you. As he gets to you, he pushes Alex down,
Okay.
grabs you by the scruff of your shirt.
Okay.
He says, "I saw you at my locker."
You did? But I don't understand. What? You didn't lock it. I was worried.
And then he says, "What did you see?"
I saw nothing. I saw your books. Very stern reader.
He pushes you back and lets go, so you would fall to the ground.
No, I would try this and not have him make me go prone.
You can roll acrobatics.
Okay. That's a 2, so 3 total.
No, you fall. You land on your butt,
Okay.
facing him,
Okay.
and he says, "I don't believe a single word that you say." And he pulls out the pocket knife that he had.
Who is after you? You clearly are someone is going after you. We can help.
So what's your body language like?
Kind of I want to say terrified, just frantic of where the because we thought it was just kind of a playful he's hanging out with high school kids. Basically, I'm trying to negotiate with a toddler with a gun. Yeah, basically I have both palms slightly, not hands raised up to the sky, but kind of
Raised to him?
Yeah, well, raised to I would say chest height, kind of if someone's throwing a gun, or if someone's pointing a gun to me, it's a natural hands up to chest level. Julian, is there something you want to talk about? This seems completely out of character. You certainly have a bad boy streak, sure, but this is a little extreme, don't you think?
He looks at you. His eyes go super wide. He drops the knife, turns around, and runs away. You're standing there watching him run away. Alex looks at you. Also, that same wide-eyed expression on her face. And she goes, "How are you doing that?"
I don't understand. Doing what?
That. Look at your hands. And you look down, and your hands, both of your hands, are on fire.
What? Okay, I freaked out.
Your hands are on fire. Your hands do not hurt in any way. So you feel the warmth on your face, but it's not a unpleasant warmth.
Right.
Your hands don't burn or anything.
Because I'm basically, I almost kind of comically how do I put him out? How do I put him out? And I kind of I'm waving my hands in the air, kind of thing, just trying to almost the candle wick.
They after the shake, they fade slowly and go out. And Alex comes up to you and goes, "You have powers? How long have you known?"
I look at her. I'm a witch. I'm a witch.
All right, you get home.
Yeah, I go straight upstairs to my bedroom. I basically kind of run upstairs, slam the door.
What do you want to do?
I try to recreate the process of reigniting my hands.
Okay. So you focus on your hands a little bit. Nothing seems to happen at first. And then you feel your hands start to tingle a little bit, and you see fire return to your hands. So it's just a relatively small flame. So if you were to light a match, it's about the length of that, coming from both hands, the entire length of your hand, your palms all the way to your fingertips.
And then I take out my journal. I start writing basically down to like, as an investigator, everything I can jot down. Like so, being able to summon fire, like how I'm able to. There's different ways to summon it. How I'm impervious to flames, not just my own flame, but all flames.
Okay.
And I kind of just work this out, and then I go outside to try to experiment a little bit more of if I'm able to control the size of the flame.
As you're spraying this fountain of flame out of your hands, you hear the door open from your mother.
Okay. I kind of gasp and I try to close my palm to end the flame, and I turn around.
Okay. The flame, it hangs in the air in a perfect sphere with a very thin border, maybe 2 inches in diameter.
Oh, so it's not even from my hand anymore. It's
Nope.
just it's a floating flame ball.
Your mother, you hear from behind you say, "What do you want for dinner?"
I turn around to see if she's looking at me.
She is, but the bubble of fire is obscured by your body, so she can't see it.
I kind of almost like a kid trying to hide something behind their back, like, oh, macaroni and cheese.
Again? Wow.
You make it so well. I love your cooking.
Well, I never get tired of hearing that. Sure thing.
Thanks.
Okay. She turns around and starts to go back inside.
Okay. And then I turn back to the flaming sphere, and I kind of the bubble with just my index finger.
It pops.
And does anything happen? It's kind of almost like a.
It pops. That's it.
Theo ends up spending the rest of the night testing out her powers. She tells her parents about Julian, but she doesn't tell them about the powers. Then the next day, she gets a call from Alex.
And she's like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?"
Yeah, I told my parents about the knife. Only the knife. So the police came. They insisted that they tell the police, but supposedly they said they're taking care of it. Julian will be taken care of. So
Oh my God, you missed it. They took him out of here in handcuffs.
Really? What was his face? Was he did he say anything? Was he silent?
No, he wasn't silent, but I don't think they believed a single word he said, just like you said.
What did he say?
He mentioned that you had a flamethrower. He didn't he wasn't making any sense. Don't worry though. I told him that I told the police when they talked to me nothing about it. I made you a friendship bracelet. Just to let you know how much I'm trying to think about things that happened back then.
I mean, this kind of sounds like a setup to a friendship story going bad, where she becomes a super villain.
It could be. I hadn't thought of it, but I have now. I made you a friendship bracelet. I'll see you later. We can skip 6 months if you want.
Okay. Yes.
I will give you what you've learned in 6 months. You realize that you can spray these showers of flames from your hands.
Yeah, and I see Alex as the woman in the chair kind of person too.
You tested to see how far you could get this flamethrower effect. Mm-hmm. It didn't extend very much past what you'd already seen, so you can get maybe 2 feet from your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fairly short. However, there is another piece to it. You could also create separately, that doesn't even involve fire, these bubbles. So you can create and control these bubbles. You found out you can pop them if you desire to, but you can also make them very sturdy, and you can make it so that even when you clap between your hands, they won't pop. So you have and not only that, but you can move them wherever you like.
Okay.
And you found out that you can put your fire inside of the bubbles.
I'm bowling with fire.
Kind of. But I mean, it doesn't have to be on the ground.
Right.
And your fire can extend further when you do that. So like you only get a few feet if you have it normally, but if you put it in a bubble, you can kind of like throw it like a baseball.
And then would like the bubble with flame in it explode on contact when thrown?
You can choose to pop this bubble whenever you'd like.
Okay.
And in fact, when you do pop it, it actually makes somewhat of a like a fiery cloud. Then on a weekend, your parents decided to have like a vacation. And so it's just you and your sister.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister is not supposed to let you leave you home by yourself, but she trusts you. Your parents don't want her to do that, but your sister's like, whatever. I'm 16. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
You hear a knock at the door, and you're home alone.
So I cautiously open the door.
She's facing away, but when you open the door, she turns around, and it is Danielle.
Oh. I close the door.
And she goes, rude. It stands there for a second,
Yeah, so Theodosia...
expecting you to reopen it.
Yeah, Theodosia on the other side is kind of like panicking in this moment, like, why the fuck is she here? What does she know? And so I kind of like hold my ear against the door, and I guess she's still there, so I very slowly open it so you can only see basically like a sliver of my face.
And she says, are you that flamethrower girl?
Flamethrower? What? There's no girl here.
She pulls out from her pocket a notepad. Sure, let's say a notepad. And she flips through it and she says, Theodosia. Yeah, you're Theodosia. The flamethrower girl.
I don't know where you're there's no Theodosia here. I am Jessica.
Roll deception.
It's an 18 plus 7. I guess that'll be 25.
25. All right.
I forgot I put that many points into line.
She flips a few more pages on her on the notepad, and she goes, "Crap! I might have the wrong address. Do you know a Theodosia?"
I might. I mean, what do you want? I mean, I know who you are. But what's going on? This Theodosia, you say she has powers?
Yeah, this kid Julian was screaming all about it. I had to shut him up.
What? That little actually spoke? Oh, I mean, really? Julian? He's crazy, you know?
She smiles and she goes, "You fooled me for a second. You're Theodosia. Don't worry about Julian. I took care of him. How do you think he was able to get out of juvie so quickly?"
Why did you let him out?
We had a discussion, and I made sure to let him know that he shouldn't be talking about those things. And you need to make sure to be more careful about who you show that kind of thing to.
Says the woman who is plastered on every single poster and billboard in the country.
Well, I'm the first of my kind. Or I guess our kind now, huh? I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I warn everybody nowadays to, be more careful. This has caused me a lot of issues. So I always caution people before they step into my shoes.
Well, I feel like this conversation will be longer than what it takes to be on my stoop. Get in.
All right, she comes in.
I close the door and lock it.
She doesn't care. She is basically Superman, so she pays no mind to you locking the door.
A locked door.
She asks you next, how long have you had your powers?
They awakened in about, I guess September of last year.
Sooner than I expected. Have you had much of a chance to learn about what you can do?
A little bit. I'm confused of really how do I categorize what I can do compared to you. So you're simple. It's written on paper.
Mine didn't come to me right away either. Learning to fly was really hard.
All right. Well, Danielle, why the hell are you here?
I came to invite you to join my organization.
But I would be known. If I joined, everyone would know who I am. I can't. This is something that I've always wanted, honestly, and now that I have it, I'm not really sure what to do now.
Well, the biggest reason I'm coming here today is to Basically, I want to bring all of us together. All of us powered people. Like, we're gonna need to stick together. I don't know where this is gonna land, in terms of the government. I don't want them to be scared of us, and I don't want them to try to lock us up. So I'm just trying to like make sure they see us as we are. We're Americans. We support the government. We're not terrorists. And I just want to make sure that we have a seat at the table when it comes to like the future laws that govern superheroes. Finish high school, then join.
I'll think about it. But on the condition that you don't contact me again until I choose so.
You got it. I just wanted to extend the branch.
Thank you, Danielle. It was an honor meeting you. This is where we part our ways.
All right. Best of luck in your powered lifestyle.
Thank you.
All right. And she walks towards the door.
I go back to my room.
All right.
And I immediately remove the poster of her on my wall.
Do you not trust her now?
I don't want to have any evidence that she was actually here in my house or I had any admiration for her. I feel like it would be any clues to make it seem like I am also part of her league. And it's just
Okay.
the idea of her actually being in my house makes me feel like she's probably being followed.
How would they follow someone who flies? Who's
I
they?
mean, well, a neighbor who was like, hey, there's a flying girl who just flew away from this girl's house.
Gotcha. Because there's not many people that fly. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who notices someone flying would, yeah, I can see that. Okay, let's do it then. Let's skip 4 years. It's 1980.
Yeah, so basically, like, as I've been, like, solving, like, not, like, hardcore true crime mysteries that are in town, but more of, like, who stole my dog kind of thing, I would usually, like, secretly,
dog.
like, yeah. I mean, I would secretly, like, you know, like, I find the dog and leave it. It's, like the owner's house, but then I would, like...
do
Yeah.
style? Okay.
And then I would usually have, like, a calling card that would that had Tituba written on it.
Oh, wait, so you're solving these crimes wearing a mask?
Or, like, I mean, not to bring in South Park, but it's similar to, like, when Cartman was, like, the coon.
The raccoon, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, if I'm ever caught, I would say, well, I was with her the entire time.
You're ever caught solving crime?
No.
No, I mean, like, you're expecting to be caught for finding someone's lost dog or stolen dog?
I mean, like, it's like, who is this mysterious person? I like to think, like, on the local news, you know, just like be a rise of, like, oh, I found a calling card of someone that found my dog.
Do you think there are, like, police looking for the person who stole back someone's stolen dog?
Well, you're the DM. You're the one who has to decide that.
Okay, that's fair. Take me through this next 2 months, because we're gonna skip pretty quick compared to what we've been doing.
I'm gonna do probably some song and dance to my parents, saying how I want to tour some colleges that are in New York, so I want to go and stay with Chloe for a while.
Okay.
But secretly, I have Danielle's business card from all those times, and actually, I will reach out to her to establish some kind of meeting, because I think that the organization is, you know, headquarters is in New York, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I start that line of communication with her to see what kind of membership she would be admitted to.
Hey, this is Danielle.
This is the girl that's able to shoot fire from her hands. Unless you...
Flamethrowers.
Oh. I guess that could be my name. I've been going by a different one, actually.
What do you call yourself?
I'm not ready to tell you, at least not by this line. I don't know if it's safe. I am in New York, and I'm hoping to actually establish a meeting, but in private. I don't want to be seen going through the front doors, but I'm ready.
Secrecy's our middle name now. We have dozen members that don't have their identity revealed to the public, so we have exactly that type of thing set up for you now. Why don't you go ahead and meet us at, let's just say, the Manhattan Bridge, and we'll have a car come pick you up. It drives around for a little while. They go into a garage. I should like a private parking garage. That's a better way to put it. The driver gets out and comes and opens the door for you and says, you can go over to the elevator right over there, and she'll meet you on the 10th floor.
I just nod silently. I don't say anything.
I'm assuming you follow those instructions.
Yes.
You go up the elevator, the door opens, and the floor is empty. There's nothing there. You get the impression that this floor had just been purchased. You see Danielle standing on the other side of the floor, just looking out the window. She turns when she hears the elevator ding. So she starts walking over to you, and she goes, "I hope this is private enough for your liking. This is one of our recent acquisitions. We're hoping to set up a new office here."
I would say this is adequate.
What warrants the call after so many years? I mean, are you ready to join us?
Only on my terms.
All right, we've heard that before. What are we talking about here?
No one will know. Only you, and I mean only you, will know that of what I am, who I am. I want to have some kind of persona here where I am simply the secretary, the receptionist, a nondescript person of absolutely no power.
I think we could make that work. We could always use someone at reception, if that's what you want to do. Some people don't get our gifts, and some people could really use our help. We could save people.
If I choose to go down that path, it's a path that I will choose myself, and I have no outside influences directing that, as well as I don't need help in that factor. I need a job if I want to live in this city, but I still want to be in some form part of this community, but no one knows.
We'll set you up with your paperwork that you need for your persona. One of our new recruits, his name is Jeff. He's a psychic. So you don't even have to tell him anything, and he's gonna know.
Is he able to read your mind as well then? So any information I tell you, he would know through proxy then?
Yeah.
So he might already know about me.
I mean, I haven't thought about you recently, so I assume it's not already on his mind. And if he's reading everybody's thoughts every day, I feel like that would get lost in the haze of thoughts. Besides him, I don't plan on telling anybody, and there's no reason to keep a secret from him because he'll just know anyway. If you'd like to meet him, I can arrange that as well. And she's like, "Well, I look forward to working with you in a few months, even if it's just as a secretary."
I hold out my hand for to shake.
She delicately takes your hand.
How firm?
But it's
for
a firm shake. Yeah. Her delicate shake is a strong handshake to most.
As kind of a tease or a tit for tat, I very lightly have my hand kind of on fire, but not as much that burn. It just kind of a.
She smiles and she says, "I think this is going to be a beautiful friendship."
It's too early to say what this will turn into.
She says, "All right, well, I got another meeting I have to run to, and I'll send the car back around."
I nod and I go, "Thank you for your time."
All right. She heads into the elevator. I guess you guys ride the elevator together. It's awkward, but not too awkward. She gets off on the lobby and waits for the elevator to close.
So, or we're walking at the same time, or is she...
She's going to a different floor than you, so she gets out and then lets it close.
Well, so actually I hold up the elevator just for a second.
Okay.
And I ask her one last question. Forgive me how odd this question might be, but how has dating been like for you?
It's so weird when everybody knows your face. For me, I get all sorts of creeps. I had one guy run up and punch me in the face once. Then he asked me out 5 seconds later. I don't understand men.
Well, maybe this psychic guy could actually be an ally for us.
Oh, maybe. I hope so. With what he knows, I hope so.
And then I let the elevator close. And I kind of smile.
Actually, I'll ask you, do you want to be more a receptionist or more like a secretary?
I like to rise up the ranks. So I'll start out as a receptionist and then eventually work my way up to be more of an executive assistant.
Got it. Okay. So they have you start out in reception. And from this position, you see Danielle occasionally. And you'll talk to her every once in a while when you guys are alone. So then Danielle, she sits down next to you behind the reception desk. It's getting close to the end of the day, and usually at the end of the day, so you've been there a week now, and you've noticed that at the end of the day, there's typically it's very slow. And so Danielle sits with you behind the desk, She goes, so this new company, they gave that scholarship to Andrea, and they're expanding the lab, offering that laboratory expansion that she mentioned a few months back. She says that they're offering a lot of money to like become like a full-fledged partner with their organization, Phi. But she's worried a little bit that they're offering so much money and they're not really asking for much in return besides like a seat at the table, basically. Like they want to be like more involved in the dealings of Phi, and she's worried about it not like quite losing control, but just like not being the loudest voice. She's like, I've always been someone who's been able to make my own decisions, and it's like I feel like myself losing a bit of power if I were to do this. Do you think I should take him up on it? Like should I let them have a seat at the table?
I mean, when you say we, like how many people does this we include?
Oh, it's just their CEO. He's the only one that wanted to be in on it. He seemed like an okay dude.
Who's the psychic you were telling me about?
Oh, his name's Jeff?
I think that it would be a great asset, perhaps, if you bring Jeff to a meeting of the CEO. You know, just shake hands, get a little more grasp, maybe a proposal of what he's projecting, what he's hoping to do. And then have Jeff perhaps try to probe a little deeper than what's verbally communicated.
Oh, not a bad idea at all.
And base your decision off of that.
Like I don't even know where to start with this. Some days. Well, okay. I don't want anyone to see us together, so thanks for the advice.
Of course, I'm always here if you need advice. I just nod and I continue my work. So, I just want to go and like kind of like an asterisk to this is that during Theodosia Last Kitty's entire time working, no matter what title it is, she's constantly gathering her own information about the coming and goings of everybody, not just the supers, but just like, any interested parties, whether, they're a government entity or, a gawking tourist. Basically just compiling her own list, secretly, of people who have powers.
Okay, of, like, everybody that...
Yeah, she would categorize them, like, people who are super versus people who are not. But basically, my whole entire purpose of actually getting a desk job there is to be the eyes and ears constantly of the coming and goings of supers, especially the originals.
Did you want to meet the psychic?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Okay. I'll give you a brief description real quick. His name's Jeff Nordling. He is tall and thin. He has like a buzz cut, maybe a little bit like a slightly grown out buzz cut.
Well, I mean, one thing I would ask out of genuine curiosity from Jeff was my first meetings is like, what's the extent of you able to probe people's minds? Is it every single thought and every memory they've had since conception? Or, like, is there different layers like an onion? It's like, my relationship with Jeff determines really of, like, his extent of his powers of how close I keep to him. Because if he's able to detect deception pretty quickly, I'm going to keep him very far away. And also, is his psychic abilities like by touch, or is it?
No, it's a ranged ability. He doesn't need to be touching to do it.
Right. So I guess from this first encounter, would I roll to see if I'm able to counter his probing to see, if he's able to find out if I'm a super person or not?
Let's do it. Why not? Because you are going to try to keep that from him, and he is a psychic. So let's see if that works. So I will roll, and you can tell me. So we'll do. You are doing deception, so let's do your +7, and I will roll versus his mind reading.
That's a natural 1.
You got a nat 1?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's able to determine. Let's see, yeah, he knows you have powers.
And so I kind of grip his hand, and I kind of like forcibly kind of make him lean, so he's a lot closer to me. Or like, let's keep that to ourselves, shall we? There's times where actually I kind of envy your power over mine. Seems like you actually have a lot more versatility than I do. You're more of an asset than I could ever be.
If you could hear the things some people think, maybe you would change your mind.
You're not able
to...
But you're not able to block it out? You're not able to have a choice?
Sometimes the curiosity gets the better of you. You ever wonder if your date actually likes you? Sometimes you don't want to know what the person in front of you is thinking about you. I try to turn it off whenever I can.
I still think that's, at least the way I perceive the world, I feel like that's actually still an asset to know point blank, black and white, what everyone's true intentions are.
He said, like, even knowing someone's thoughts, there's been people that like I've read their thoughts and I thought I knew them, and then they go and do something that I would never expect them to do. I mean, maybe I could catch people like premeditated murder or something, but people aren't that easy. People aren't that simple.
That's an interesting perspective. Jeff, you are a quite unique asset to this company, and I'm glad to know you, and I hope to get to know you as the time goes on.
Phi made several changes in the next few years, including a massive expansion due mostly to huge endorsements from government, media, defense, and pharmaceutical companies. Most noteworthy, Trisect, a large defense agency, and Frylox, a pharmaceutical company. Phi began to directly combat crime, and Danielle became an advocate for powered rights and protections in Washington, as well as an idol for many. In addition, Danielle, Andrea, Jeff, and several other prominent members joined Phi during this time, including a power nullifier named Hannah and a shield generator named Gregory. Theo continued to work for Phi for several years, never revealing her true identity. In 1983, everything changed when a water-controlling powered supremacist named Jackson Carr attacked the Capitol. Phi, which was just getting up to speed at the time, sent a team of its most powerful members to stop him. While they achieved the goal of capturing Jackson, they also took some important losses, as 2 of the supporting members were killed trying to defend the president. Fortunately, due to Danielle's political lobbying, the public opinions of Powered shifted in favor of Powers, and Phi was integrated as a new branch of the government. However, the new government scrutiny of Phi meant Danielle could no longer hide Theo among the workers with a false identity. Theo decided to take this opportunity to hide among those without powers and focus on what she was good at, which was investigations. So she became a private investigator. She developed relationships with law enforcement and had a few contacts still at Phi. After decades of living this lifestyle, she still fears being found out and only uses her power in secret, and even then, only seldomly, never wanting anyone to have information they could hold over her. After the Capitol attack and integration of Phi into the government, Phi began partnering with Trisect to train new agents that better support the agency, and Frylox to build a prison that could study and contain powered criminals. Up until 1985, all powered people have been in the US. This was starting to make a lot of countries very nervous, until they too began seeing powered people appear in some of their larger cities. Wanting to ensure that the vision of the company she started stayed on humanity and not on political boundaries, Danielle worked to set up Phi chapters in several other countries. Many studies were conducted over the years to look into what was causing powers, but the only conclusive results that the studies returned were that powers only appeared after puberty, and they were not inherited to children of powered people. After the introduction of powered people in other countries, the US government decided to develop a clandestine department at Phi led by Jeff in order to gather intelligence of worldwide powers. In addition, Jeff's telepathic power would be a good deterrent for undercover operatives within Phi. Alongside Phi, another company began to grow thanks to powered support. A technology company called Cooper Corporation developed a technology to replicate a plant-based medicine that Andrea had synthesized. This quickly made the company a global name and allowed for its founders to develop a philanthropic presence around the world. Next up is Edward.
1988, you're born. I have 2001, you develop powers. Tell me about your childhood, I guess. Let's start there.
I think because I chose my character's like adult profession to be a lawyer, I think there would have been probably a certain amount of like pressure to succeed and be a high achiever and all that.
So I have you getting powers in October 2001. You are 13. October, what are you doing? You going to school?
Yep, going to school.
So what's a typical day look like for Edward? It sounds like a lawyer name. Good choice.
Yeah. That's why I picked it. That's like I wanted a name that sounded like a lawyer. So,
what's his school life like? Does he have bullies? Is he a popular kid? Is he?
To me, maybe I was bullied, but I fought back or something like that. I had one bully who like just didn't want to leave me alone. Like, so it didn't come up a ton, but when it did, it always came up.
Okay, Thomas bullies you?
Yeah, or harasses me, or is generally annoying to me. There's probably maybe like a fist fight occasionally, but messes with me, breaks into my locker.
You prefer to spend your free time there reading. Do you have any specific book you like to read?
Let's say Dune. I'd like to read Dune.
Occasionally, Tommy will come up and tease you for your shy nature. Like you said, it kind of went on for a while. You've known Tommy for several years now. You went to middle school, and he's never been nice.
Hate that kid.
There's one day you can tell that like Tommy is in a particularly bad mood, and you try to avoid him, but he is just like looking for the right victim, and he spotted you.
Okay.
So he walks over to you and he says, "Give me all your money right now."
That's like, oh, not today, man. Do we have to do this?
You can see that like enrages him even more, and he grabs you by your collar.
If he's got both hands on my collar, I'll grab both his wrists. I'm not trying to escalate, but I'm just trying to, hey, let's cut it out.
He says, I need to take my girlfriend out for a nice dinner tonight, and you're going to pay for it.
He's like, I'll just say, your sister doesn't count.
Okay, roll for initiative.
Natural 1.
You go second. He's going to take a swing at you.
Okay.
He rolled a 12, so he misses. What's your move?
Shove him backwards.
Okay, so we'll do that as an unarmed attack. Roll a d20, add in 1.
I rolled a 19 for a total of 20.
Okay, so you hit. He fails, and you bruise him. You push him back, and he hits the locker with a thud, and he like groans and grabs his back. He's gonna visibly get enraged by this, and he's gonna charge at you and try to knock you down.
Oh, come on, man!
He rolls, and this one hits. So go ahead and roll your toughness.
Okay. I rolled a 6 on the dice.
So that means 2 degrees of failure. So you are dazed.
Okay.
So you can see that from the slam, he also kind of bruises himself a little bit. Okay, it's your turn.
I'll hit him back at this point, or try to.
Okay, unarmed attack.
Yeah, unless there's something else I can do for some kind of attack.
Roll your attack first. We'll see if it hits him.
Okay. 13 plus whatever.
Yes, it hits.
Yeah. Okay.
So he fails by 2 degrees, so he is also dazed now. At this point, he stands up. He says, "Just give me the money."
I'll give you $1 to fudge off.
You can see him in deep thought, and he accepts your truce and puts a hand out.
Yeah, I'll give him $1.
He takes his small victory, his Pyrrhic victory, and he walks away.
All right.
You head home excited to finish. You're getting to the last few chapters of Dune, and you're excited to see what happens to Mouse Guy.
Muad'Dib?
Muad'Dib, yeah. Muad'Dib. You're still kind of bruised from the fight earlier. You get home and lay in your bed, and you realize you're like, oh damn, I left my book in my backpack. And before you can get up to like go get it, you're about to do that, and your backpack that has your book in it like hovers to you. Like, how do you react to this?
I would freak out. I'd scoot back. There might be a pause of like, am I seeing things? It's like,
You like slap it out of the air.
No, I like kind of just like a little jump back.
When you jump back, the book bag falls. What do you do next?
I would wait a moment, and then I would kind of walk over to it slowly and see like it like, do I notice it? Is it like smell funny or anything like that?
Roll perception, whatever.
Yeah. I just got an 11 on the dice, so.
So you have plus 13.
Wow. Okay. Well, so an 11 on the dice, so that's a 24.
The book it's still in your bag. Your bag is closed for the most part, but it is not on the bottom of your bag.
Like it's floating?
Yes, inside the bag.
Weird. Okay, so I will. I'll look around for like. See like something I can like poke it with, not touch it directly.
Okay, so you grab your ornamental baseball bat and poke it, and it responds. It sinks when you poke it, and then rises back up in the bag. But the bag's still on the floor.
Okay. So if I'm looking at this thinking that it's not like looking harmful, I'm gonna go try to pick it up then. I'll pick up the bag and I'll like set it on the bed and I'll just see if that does anything.
It generally maintains its shape
Okay.
with the book on the top and everything else at the bottom resting on the bed.
I will very slowly unzip the top of the bag.
The book stays in its place and the bag falls down around it. So the book is hovering above the rest of the contents of the backpack.
This book's just hovering there. So I'll touch the book with a finger.
It slowly drifts away from you, like something in weightless space. You pick it up, let go of it in like chest height, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? It falls straight to the floor, bounces off, and then comes right back to chest level.
That's weird.
It doesn't float like free space anymore. It just hangs back where you tried to drop it the first time.
Okay. I'll pick it up and I'll try to flip open it and see if there's like anything inside the book making it float.
When you grab it again this time, you realize that, let's say this is the first time you're reading Dune, you're really into it.
Mm-hmm.
You grab the book this time, and you realize what happens in the last 2 chapters, just like you've read it.
Oh wow. Okay, I like that. That's fun. Just instantly read it. Well, I was like, okay.
It takes 5 seconds or so.
Okay, so read it really fast then.
Yeah, but you didn't actually open it to those pages.
Yeah. So right now, as much as I can tell, I possess a magical book. I don't know if I necessarily think like anything is up with me. I look around my room for something, and I want to like take turns setting things on the book and see if it like how it floats, if it changes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll set my wallet on it or something like that.
The wallet sits on it. It floats on it. No problem.
It's like another book.
You could. I mean, you have. Is a Dune book series? Is it a book series?
It's a book series.
Okay, so you have the other Dune books, I'm guessing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll go grab the next book of Dune and try. Yeah.
You take a step in the direction of the next Dune book on your shelf,
mm-hmm.
and the second Dune book floats to you.
Okay. At that point, as it's floating toward, I will very kind of gently reach out and like to touch it and grab it.
Wow, that was a good book.
Backing up a little bit. Now I'm in the room with 2 floating books. I'll leave those there. I'll kind of back up. I'll take a moment and look at them, and then I will walk over to the next one in the series, and I will pick that one up.
Okay. That was also a great one. How many are there in this series?
There's a lot. I don't know
Okay.
in 2001 how many there are, but I know that at least like
19. Jeez, there is a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6? There's 6 of them, it looks like? Huh. Okay, yeah. So the first 6 Dune books, you have 3 of them around you. One of them's in your hand.
at this point, maybe I'll change it up a little bit here. I'll try to think about like what my homework for the night might be, and if I have any reading to do for that.
Yeah, you have a reading assignment, let's say.
So I'll go pull up my reading assignment.
The second you grab it, you have finished that. It took you a few seconds, but you pick it up pretty quickly. I'm trying not to give it away too much, because part of the fun of this is figuring out what your powers are.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you want to do?
Well, I'd be fiddling with, like, now that I'm realizing I can do this, I'd start to fiddle with it a lot, because that would just be kind of fun to, like, make them open and close and swirl around the room and kind of, like, touch them as they pass and just, like, read them real quick. Or even, do I read, like, can I read them in part if I just make quick contact? Like, oh, okay, there was the first, 10 pages or whatever.
I hadn't thought about that. Yes, you can choose what pieces you read.
Okay. That's kind of fun to even get something out of just, like, a quick touch.
But yeah, so if it's like super long, remember it's 1,000 times normal, so you're not instantaneously reading it.
What else can I do? Okay, I'm gonna get out some of my heavy textbooks, and I'm gonna stand on them, and I'm gonna make them float and see if I can balance myself.
You start to go up and roll acrobatics.
Okay. I rolled a 5 on the dice.
Okay, you start to lose your balance when it goes up.
Yeah.
And like you realize you're starting to fall forward, and the book kind of like corrects for you and rebalances you. So you maintain levitating book base. And this is actually another part of the power. It's platform flight. So you have the ability of platform flight.
Platform flight. It's like, okay, I might need to go somewhere a little bigger.
You want to go outside?
Yeah, let's go outside. I'll try to get somewhere where I can't be seen very easily.
Okay. So you go to the local park. It's in the evening at this point, so there's not many people there. You wait till the last guy leaves, and
Yep.
you're there with your backpack and your books.
I'll try to fly a little bit faster. See how I do.
So you can go up to 8 miles per hour.
Oh, 8 miles per hour. Okay. That's like running speed for some people.
Yeah, and you're just sitting on the book.
That's a good point. I was imagining like standing on one, but like no, sitting's maybe better. Yeah, so if I would probably switch to that fairly early. It's like, okay, standing's rough. I'll get heavy book. Okay, sit on the book, and that's probably a little easier.
Okay, roll me perception.
Okay, perception. That is a natural 1.
Okay, you are flying through the air at your 8 miles an hour. You're so focused on your books. At the very last minute, you hear a bird caw and almost hit you, and you turn to see like a whole flock of birds.
Oh shoot!
And there's one coming right at you in this flock. You don't get out of the way, but one of your books comes and deflects the bird from hitting you.
Oh, that's handy.
This is a piece of this power too. I called it like book shield, I think. So you can increase your toughness kind of using your books as well.
Okay, does that take an action for me to do that, or how does that work?
It takes an action in advance. So I mean,
Got it.
like if you know you're about to get in a fight, you can be like, book shield, go. Let's see, it is 2001. I don't have anything for you for 9 years.
Okay.
Is there anything that you want to do now that you have powers for the next 9 years?
And the only other thing I could think of doing before school is probably seeing if I could get away with
Fudging.
with Tommy.
Okay, perfect. I was waiting for something like this.
Yeah. So he got if he's coming up to fight me, I'm gonna just start pulling him backwards with his book bag if he's wearing that. Subtly. Initially he'd just feel like somebody was yanking on his back. It's but I would wait for him to start something with me.
So he comes up to try to shake you down again.
First thing I'll ask if he just wants another $1.
Of course, this enrages him, as everything does.
Yeah.
So he comes up to do his usual and grab you by the collar.
At that point I would if he's wearing his backpack, I will just yank it backwards slightly right as the moment he's about to grab, and lean back so he misses his grab.
Yeah, so you you do this, and you can see the confusion roll over him, and he stops what he's doing and he turns around, and then he does a 360 trying to figure out who pushed him.
I think it's funny watching him just kind of be bewildered.
Let's do an attack. This is an attack. So go ahead and roll.
Okay. That is a 15.
It does hit. You see his confusion multiply. So he looks around. He doesn't see anybody. He looks back at you, and then you see him look around again, like someone else pushed him again.
This is another power.
Yes. This one is an affliction. It applies conditions. The condition that you applied to him was dazed. And then, as we're going through this 9 years, I will give you the last piece of this power. You find that as you're going through school, you can kind of cheat your studying by touching the contents of the book. This also applies to books that you cannot read. So, for example, a Spanish book, you can read that by touching it, even though you don't know Spanish.
Oh, interesting.
Let me rephrase how this works. If you were to touch a book that was written in Spanish, you would be able to understand it, though it was written in English.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that means I might not be able to. There's comprehension, and then there's being able to recite the first sentence of the third paragraph. It's I don't speak Spanish, I can't do that, but I can tell you what it means.
The first thing I have for you starts in somewhere between 2009 and 2012. In 2009, I have graduates law school. Yeah. So if you want to play it okay, I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'd do that.
So I had becomes lawyer in 2010.
Okay.
And then somewhere between 2010 and 2000, this is towards the end of 2012. That's when your first chapter is going to start. Next up is Zach. Let's have you introduce your character. Let's start with that. And yourself.
Okay, cool. I'm Justin, and I'm going to be playing Zach Cooper, otherwise known as Hacker Hood. in this game.
So we're going to be starting right around the time when you get your powers. I have your powers developing around 2009. How about you give me the 95 to 2009 breakdown?
Okay.
So we'll say 2009 he gets his powers. So everything before 2009, fill me in on.
Zach has a pretty important last name, Cooper, being that it belongs to the Cooper family that has a very successful technology and research company. And the Coopers, his parents, were philanthropists with their money. They really were activists in trying to help change the world for good. Even though they were well off, I mean, they were constantly moving around and on the go. So he was never really, like, stationary. He didn't, like, live in a mansion or anything like that. This isn't the typical Bruce Wayne story in that sense. You know, having, like, the rich family and all that inheritance. Instead, he kind of moves around. Think like the Thornberries, right? They're going around filming all the animals, right? But in this case, right, his parents are taking him with them so that they can pass on what they do and what they believe in to him. So from an early age, you know, he's, you know, in all these different countries as they go there in person to work with different governments, peoples, communities to help better their lives, and setting precedent for how we all need to collaborate more globally. He thinks that, you know, it's what should be done, and even in the face of that, it doesn't really hit him until he's in his teen years when they go to help and they're there alive in the flesh, and despite their good efforts, somebody in like a impoverished country, I don't think it super matters which one.
You could choose one if you want. Your story starts pretty much right after that. If you have any more details you want to add between your birth and their death.
Let's just say they want to help a country with their issues with water. And in trying to do this, there are some, let's just say like a gang in that country that wants to sequester the water because it builds them a certain kind of wealth or a certain kind of fortune or resource or power in their country that's pretty much poverty anyway. In an effort to stop the Coopers from bringing better water and more equality to the country, you know, this gang kills them. You know, the Coopers go there and they announce what they're going to do. The people are excited and the gang comes in and just murders them. It's just no hesitation. It's just, nope. You know, you're going to do what? No, thanks. We're going to kill you. And that's that.
I think this is a perfect place to start. 2009, your parents are just killed by this warlord.
They were actually, let's say, they were bringing a technology to clean the bad water supply so that he wouldn't have... That would obviously mean the only good water supply that he was mongering, right, wouldn't matter anymore if the people could clean the abundant bad water supply.
Perfect.
So they were bringing that technology in.
Okay, and so he kills them in order to stabilize his power over the region. Your parents were just killed by this warlord. How do you react?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Zach finds out only because he's on his way to where they are, right? He's just showing up late. You know, he's out just going to, say, like a mart for some food, or for like a drink. He hears commotion, and so he starts, you know, running and to figure out what this commotion's about. He assumes it has to do with his parents, and by the time he gets to the scene...
Oh, so he's in the country at this time.
Oh, yeah, he's in the country.
Okay. He's, what, like 15 or so? Like, who's he with? Does he must have, like, a uncle or something?
No, they have a paid chaperone thing, you know, just like...
Alfred.
Yep, they have an Alfred.
What's his name? You gotta name him.
That's a great... Let's name him... Oh, man. It's gonna be Nigel.
Nigel. Well, of course it's gotta be Nigel.
It's gotta be Nigel.
Okay, Nigel, taking care of you.
Yep. Basically, as people are fleeing the whole, you know, murder scene, obviously everyone is spreading that news. It spreads fast. There's a lot of commotion just reverberating through the streets, and he starts realizing something's off, starts trying to pay attention to what people are saying, he can't quite make it all out because it's in, a different language. He just starts following the commotion and going to where he's just going to head in the direction of where he was intending to meet up with his parents anyway. By the time he gets there, the scene is pretty much fled. The warlord and his henchmen are already gone, and his parents are just dead on the ground. And there is absolutely no one else that would have done this. There's just the one bad guy in his gang. Everyone knows that.
Is this like an alley or a street or a market?
No, imagine it's more like a open area near the docks. They only have small boats and things, but it's mostly just grass and dirt leading up to a very shallow, small beach area. But his parents are dead on the grass and dirt before the shore.
You notice, even though that this is a third world country, the docks area is monitored. There's a medium-sized building that just happens to have a camera pointed that direction. And not only do you notice that, you notice, along with the camera, you seem to sense the camera before you could see it. You have something extra there.
It's almost like I have this instinct to know the camera's there.
Right. I wonder where that is. Yeah. You never felt this before, but you started feeling it for the first time after you saw your parents' bodies? Yeah. Even without looking at it, you can now, can tell of its presence.
Okay. I feel like the first things that Zach is feeling is just shock. Not even quite processing this. Should I say I?
If you want to.
Sure. No, that's kind of weird. So he doesn't even quite recognize that he's necessarily feeling the camera. It's just that the camera jumps out to him and makes him start thinking, what actually happened here. Zach wants to call Nigel, and Zach also wants to know if this camera has stored footage.
So which one are you doing first?
Let's get Nigel figured out, because that's easier. Yeah, making a call to Nigel, a cell phone call to Nigel.
Good afternoon, Zach.
Nice. Yeah. Can I get an Australian Nigel?
If you want to, I can do that. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, Zach.
Nice. Okay. Okay. So I see with the role playing here. I need to get in the role playing spirit. I feel like I'm not right in the energy to be shocked that my parents are dead right now. All right,
Oh, hey, my parents are toast.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can't act it. I think I'm gonna just for this session. Maybe I'll get into it more in the group.
Tell me
session
what he
or-
says, as opposed to.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So Zach calls Nigel and he's in shock. He's trying to let Nigel know that his parents are dead.
How does he say it?
He says that his parents are dead. And Nigel asks what in disbelief, right? He says his parents are dead.
Oh, you're playing Nigel now too. Whose role-playing game is this?
Sorry, so should I not?
No, go for it. Go for it. It's fine. You're good.
I just because obviously Nigel's doesn't understand.
I would think if he's your guardian, his response would be okay, I'm coming to get you right now.
Okay, gotcha. That's fine. But after Zach says the words that his parents are dead, he has a shift and he starts giving more directions. And he tells Nigel that they need to prepare to leave this country immediately and that they also need to get some of this footage from the docks where he's at. He just says that, hoping Nigel will understand how to fill in the blanks.
So Nigel says, I need to get you out of here right now. And he's also in shock, like you said, about his employers for the last decade have just been killed. And he sees it as his duty to get you out of there. He says, go somewhere safe. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Just be safe.
Okay. I'm going to go investigate the camera.
All right. So it's on the side of a two-story, it's a small government office for customs, I'll say. It's kind of run down because the government's not very stable, but they do import-export and licensing for boats coming in and out of this area. The camera is facing the scene of the crime. It's traditionally what you'd see at like a bank camera, but there's only one facing that direction. You like sense from beyond, you don't know where this is coming from. You sense that the camera is on, and you can see like a current flow through the walls of the building that you could never see before. You see this flowing path of like a signal, but you can't see like the walls themselves. You can only see like the outside of the wall.
All right, so I'm a little curious, but also in noticing this, I'm like feeling like I need to take a deep breath because I don't know if I'm just hallucinating now. So I'm gonna take a deep breath.
Roll for deep breath. No, just kidding.
No, yeah, and I'm not gonna trust quite what I'm seeing there, but but I also can't not stop thinking about it, and I'm just gonna go into that building and
Okay.
try to see if there's anybody there.
So you open the door and you walk in, and there's a think of like, I don't know, a DMV. There's like a counter, and there's a disgruntled government employee behind the counter. There's one other person there that's like up at the counter, and it looks like he just finished up, and he's the only person that was there, and he's walking out the door.
Okay, I want to approach the government employee, and
First thing he does when you walk up to the counter is he says something to you in mysterious other language that we never established.
I ask him if he knows anything about what just happened out there.
Oh, American? I don't know. What is this guy, Russian, I guess maybe? Oh, okay. I can speak a little English. What do you need?
Did you hear anything that happened outside?
I heard some commotion, but I'm not permitted to leave, so I don't know anything about what happened.
Do you have access to the camera that's out there? Can we check that footage?
That's not permitted without clearance from the federales.
Cool. Okay, hold on before I say anything. I want to make another. I'm not sure if it's a perception or investigation check, but I'm wondering if there's anything else I can see, much like I was seeing this sort of connectivity from the camera through the walls to a box.
Okay, make a perception roll.
I got 14, so that makes 19.
Okay, you notice that he has a old like CRT monitor connected to a desktop computer at his station, kind of, and you notice that this computer also has a flowed data path that follows the same path to the same box that you saw the camera go to.
Okay. I want to say to him, well, can you, look at the footage and tell me... Oh, man.
How you want to play this?
This guy obviously is not gonna give him any sort of credits. Okay, hey, do you know my parents, the Coopers? They're trying to help clean your water.
Yeah, I heard that on the radio earlier. It's a great thing that they're doing.
Yeah, well, they're dead outside right now, and I don't know who did it. If we can see this footage, we can find out. Let's say that warlord's name is Aguila.
Okay, roll persuasion.
3 plus 11 puts us at 14.
He looks straight down at his feet for a little bit, and he goes, I want to help you, but I could lose my job for this. Maybe once I'm alone, I could maybe do it. But my boss is in the other room, and he's the one who has access to all that stuff. I want to help you, but I can't because he's always looking down my back. I just can't do anything without him knowing. And then it's at that time that you hear like a shuffle in the back as the boss hears like him being talked about, and he looks out and then goes back into the room next door.
Okay, I'm gonna yell at the boss and say, hey, did you know there are people dead outside on the floor?
He yells something in the other language and ignores you.
I'm yelling it again. There are people dead outside. Did you know?
He closes the door.
Right. Do you think you can get me that footage later?
It's very risky for me. I might get fired.
Look, the door's closed right now. Go ahead and just check it out right now. He closed the door.
Oh, I can't do it here. I have to do it in that room where he's in.
What if you distract him? Maybe I can get the footage.
I mean, maybe if there was a commotion, he could come out, and I mean, if there were something to make him come out of the room, I could try to keep him out if that would help you, but we need a reason for him to come out.
All right, thinking about using Nigel. So I know that the computer and the camera are both linked to the same like central unit. So there's a network there. And I'm frustrated that I can't easily get this footage. The guy won't talk to me. I'm thinking that...
Oh, and I'm gonna paint you a little picture of the room a little bit more. The door that he walked behind, there's also a window, like an observation window next to the door too, so you can still see him, but you can't see the box that the camera or the computer connects to. It's like behind the door, kind of, but you can see the manager through the window.
Okay, so I'm thinking that I'm not being taken seriously because I'm a kid, and I might get better results if I got Nigel in here.
Okay.
Let's get closer to the boss's office, like the door, and see if I can sense anything else in there.
Okay. So are you like looking at the boss through the window?
And I just want to see what I can see there.
So you're looking in the window. You see the supervisor, and then your vision fades for a second, and all of a sudden you're now looking at the computer monitor inside the room through the eyes of the supervisor.
Oh, weird. Okay, what do I see on the screen?
You got lucky, and he just got back into the room after he yelled at you. He took a drink, and he's now logging in, and so you're watching him type his password into the computer.
Oh, nice. Okay, I need to know what that password is. Can you tell me?
It is,
Come on, man. The 3 most common passwords are love, sex, and God. Which one is it?
this is hackers. It's none of those. It is Fluffy Kitten 367.
Fluffy Kitten 367. Okay.
Exclamation, because security. He types that in. You then see him like look up, and he like looks around, and you see the weird view of him seeing you, but you're seeing you as him. He like looks at you. You can feel his vision like squint at you a little bit. He kind of like rolls in front of his computer on his chair to like block his view from you, and it continues typing. He starts writing the daily reports, his TPS reports for the day, and then your vision snaps back to yourself.
Whoa, that was weird. Okay, I've got his password though, or at least I think I do. I'm not really sure. How much time has it been? When's Nigel gonna get here?
It's been 10 minutes or so he's gonna be there in the next minute or two.
Okay, I'm gonna exit the building and I'm gonna look for Nigel.
As soon as you exit the door, you see him. He's like frantically looking for you. He sees you eventually. He runs up and he comes and gives you like a protective hug.
Yeah.
He goes, "Thank God you're okay." That's bad.
Actually, I thought that was great. I love it. Nigel, he's like inconsistent Australian. I'm down. Like.
Okay, he's bad Australian. He like motions. He's like, "Let's get out of here."
Nigel, wait. There's a camera on the outside of this building. It saw everything that happened. We need to get the footage for that. I think I know how to get it. We have to distract these guys in there. I've got to get in the back room. I know it sounds wild, but please, can you distract them in there so that I can get in the back room?
We gotta make it quick.
Yeah, okay. When we go in there, there's a guy at the front and then this boss guy in the back. We need to get him to come out.
So you walk into the building with Nigel. The front desk attendant guy, he sees you and Nigel, and he like nods. He knows like what you're about to do. Nigel looks at you after you walk in, and he goes, "Is this the guy?"
Oh, sorry. Is he pointing at the desk attendant guy?
Yeah, the desk attendant.
I'm just gonna like look towards the back room and nod.
So he sees the guy through the window, and he goes, "Okay." And he walks up to the desk. "There's something wrong here. I need to talk to your manager." And he like starts screaming and yelling to this attendant guy, and the manager turns and looks, and the attendant shrugs his shoulders when the manager looks at him, and the manager goes like rolls his eyes, and he gets up out of his chair, and he opens the door. He says in like broken English, he goes, "What's the problem?" And the desk attendant that you spoke to previously like shoots back something in their language, Fakanese.
Nice.
So they're talking in Fakanese, and They have a brief little back and forth, and then the manager like sighs and walks over and like is trying to have a conversation with Nigel, who's yelling at him. You see the desk attendant like kind of nod his head to like go for it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go for it.
Okay, roll stealth.
And I rolled 11, so that's 13.
You like sense that he like you're somewhat stealthy. You think you can do better. So you can roll again if you'd like. This is a hard one to say. I imagined that I can re-roll dice, so you can re-roll dice.
Oh, is that like one of the skills I took or whatever?
Not quite. It's in your power set though.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I should try to do better then.
If you'd like. That's one of your powers. You can re-roll. Yeah, it's a luck-based power.
Okay.
He doesn't notice you. He like starts to turn his head once, but then Nigel like yells a little bit louder, and he turns his head back. So you sneak into the back.
Okay. At this moment, what can I see? What can I perceive in this room to get a better sense of this setup here for this camera?
There's the desktop computer that's back there that you saw him type the password into. The computer is in like it's in the same room, but it's separated by like a half wall.
Do I see any external storage media, like a thumb drive or something like that?
There is a DVD burner or a CD burner or whatever.
Dude, that's not happening. That's gonna take way too long.
So there are blank CDs that you see.
I'm just gonna hop on this computer, and is it password locked?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna punch in the code FluffyKitten367 !
It unlocks.
Okay, and I have a high technology skill, right?
Yeah.
I want to discover the most recent video log so I can review it.
All right. Roll your technology.
And the dice rolls 13, so I'm at 22.
Yeah. With 22, you immediately find the file.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like your second click.
And I want to review it and see the footage.
It is a like recurring upload, so it like refreshes every 15 minutes. So you know like generally when it happened, but to find out the exact moment, and you'd have to watch a lot of this video.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So I mean, if you want to stay back there for 15 minutes while you try to figure out where this is, I mean, you could like skip through a bunch, but it's gonna take a bit.
So is it one giant video file? Like how big is the file?
No. It's broken apart into 15-minute chunks, and there's like 100 of them. But you realize it's probably in the top like 5 because you sorted by like the save time. So you know it's probably in the last hour or so. So you're looking at the 4 video files that have recorded the last hour that are broken apart into 15-minute segments.
Screw it. Let's just start burning a CD. At the worst case scenario, we get a CD with the files.
So you slap a CD in this computer. Let's do technology one more time, and that'll determine whether or not this CD burns quickly or slowly.
Rolling the dice. I got a 14 this time, so I was at 23.
Okay, that's still good enough. It burns lightning fast. They have top of the line technology at this third world country, DMV. Shockingly. You're actually able to upgrade their system, and so it burns faster. They'll be pleasantly surprised when they come back.
Yeah, okay.
Check it out. It's going to be faster.
What?
The CD spits out in a minute. You can tell that Nigel is running out of things to say. The conversation's wrapping up.
Alright, I'm walking out. We're gonna be fine.
Roll stealth. Assuming you're going to walk out stealthily. If you're just going to walk out, then you could do that too.
So now it's gonna be plus my 18 I rolled. Yes! 20 on stealth. What up? This 15-year-old stealthing out.
You walk out, and the desk attendant that you talked to before walks in front of the manager, and he kind of blocks his view so the manager doesn't see you. You make it away without being noticed
Nice.
with your burned CD.
Nigel, stop yelling. Let's just go.
He turns back at you and winks. And he says he's like, well, I'm talking to ya boss when I get home.
Nice.
And he turns around and walks out with you.
Alright, so we get outside. I'm just expecting that Nigel knows how to get us out of here.
He walked quickly with you to the I was going to say limo, but it's probably not a limo if it's a third world country.
Oh, hell no. He's got like just like a
Jeep or
super
something.
dingy Jeep, yeah.
So he like walks quickly with you back to that, and he says like, I hope you got what you needed. We need to like be cautious when we need to try to get out of here. Like, it's not safe for us.
before we do that. Okay, wait. I just need to go see my parents real quick.
Their bodies?
Yeah.
By this time, the police have arrived. The federales. I don't know. The local law enforcement, whatever. I don't know what country we're in.
Yeah, it's fine. So we shouldn't go near them, probably.
Yeah, I don't. Spain? Sure, we're in Spain. Why not? No, that's not third world. Mexico?
No, we're definitely more
Africa,
on the
maybe?
European continent-ish or Africa-ish. That's fine. Somewhere in there is fine.
I always thought like Nigeria or something. Congo? Is that what we're?
Sure.
Is that where
Let's do that. Yeah.
I cannot do like an African accent. I'm terrible at that.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
But I'm gonna pretend like they all speak English there, so I don't have to.
It's okay.
Yeah. So you're not gonna go and talk to the police or anything?
I'm just assuming that that there's corruption.
Let's do a check for it. Let's do insight.
Okay, cool. Rolling. I rolled a 2. So I got a total of 7.
You don't know much about the history of the law enforcement.
I'm gonna ask Nigel if... Yeah, I'm gonna ask Nigel, like... Nigel says we should get out of here.
Nigel's main goal is to get you to safety now at this point. He was swayed because he wanted to find out what happened with your parents. Like the thought of like solving that mystery kind of like overrode his better judgment, but he's now like let's get to safety. We need to get away from this like warlord. We need to get away from his reach.
Yeah, whatever. Let's get out of here. I don't trust the government there. I think that with that kind of like with the whole warlord, the gang, and everything, there's probably just corruption. So let's roll with Nigel's gut instincts and get the heck out of here.
So you get back to the private jet that your parents have. Nigel talks to the pilot and that you like fuel up and get ready to go. Nigel makes a few calls to like the local authorities, and it like the news of your parents' death is all around the area. So like their local news is talking all about like how this warlord did this, but it's more like what's the right word? Propagandaist. So it's more like you can tell that they're not really reporting the truth.
Is this the local place? The
local news.
Okay, so this isn't like U.S. news or anything. This is local
No.
news.
This is the news of the area. Let's just say maybe you don't understand it, but you have a translator who tells you what it is. And they basically say like your parents were smuggling in drugs or arms or something. They're smugglers. So they were shot when they resisted arrest. So that's like the propaganda that the news is saying. Like they're like, it's so surprising that these people would come into our country under the guise of philanthropy and commit all these crimes.
Yeah.
You board the plane and leave the area. You arrive back in the U.S. You're too young to be on your own. Nigel, I guess, can be your guardian.
Oh, Nigel's the guardian.
The video footage shows your parents being killed, but it's a little bit far away, but it's close enough to where you can still make out like the like people that did it. You can see you got lucky, and the quality of the video isn't very good, but the people who kill them happen to park close to the camera, and so after they kill your parents, they walk close to the camera, and so you do get a good view of the people who did it. And through some research, you determine that it is
Aguila,
yes, Aguila coming in there doing the naughty, doing the dirty.
Yes.
Yeah, doing the dirty. He executes your parents. You see him later talk to the police, and they're like following his orders. So it was a good move to get out of there. The police are not on your side. Your parents tried to get away, and they couldn't. It was like cold-blooded. Your company, like I guess it's your company now, yeah. You become a member of the like board of the directors, but you can't do anything because you're not old enough. Because you're only like 16?
15.
Tell me what happens in these next 3 years.
I see Zach having an intense like frustration. He feels this unstoppable like need to like fill his parents' shoes in a way of helping others, but he is sort of tainted by this whole experience, and that there will always be this really malicious force just lurking around the corner, even in the face of, potentially him trying to do good. So he wants to enable the Cooper Corporation to continue its efforts in researching things, developing things to help people, he's also very technologically inclined, and I feel like didn't quite understand what he perceived before. Like that whole experience sort of like a hallucination to him, like everything that went down on that day.
So I'm assuming that you realize eventually that it's not a hallucination over these next 2 years or 3 years.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'll give you exactly what your powers are that have been revealed. So you can sense the EM spectrum. So you can't interpret it, but you can sense that it's there. Like,
Yeah, currents and things, yeah.
you can see through other living mammals' eyes,
Okay.
and it is a subtle effect, which means it is hard to detect, but not impossible to detect from the person who's getting it done.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, luck. You can make people re-roll die.
Okay.
You do have more powers, but you haven't noticed them yet.
And he doesn't let anyone know. The idea is for Zach to evolve a sort of secondary hidden alias. He dons as a hacker alias and he calls himself Hacker Hood. He knows he has to play nice because he's, inherited this company that does good things in the world, but he just doesn't believe anymore that, like, the bad guys will just go away if you just do good. So he starts, like, acting in secret with the intention of, like, hacking to basically undermine the greedy and the evil and, redistribute to the good. Or for good causes, yeah.
This marks the end for the Awakenings arc, Part 1. Thank you for listening to Golden Squad. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at Golden Squad Pod on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or you can send us an email at goldensquadpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to donate to us and support us financially, that's always cool too. You can find us on kofi.com/Golden Squad. Stay tuned for Part 2, where we'll hear more about Zach and Edward's lives after getting powers.